I'm gonna rant right now and you're gonna listen. I love SOD, man. I freaking love SOD. I love the PvP experience. I'm ranking right now, enjoying my time. I love the PvP thing. And most importantly, gear right now in PvP is really strong for many of the classes, right? People mix those very cool pieces, the shoulder enchants, recently the shoulder set pieces, right? That you can put on you. Great stuff, good content. I love it. But every once in a while, Blizzard are completely irredeemable. See, right now SOD's PvP has an issue. It's completely unbalanced, which makes it more balanced than what it usually could be. Essentially, it's if everybody can one-shot you and everybody can kill you, then probably the game is more balanced than us trying to be very nitpicky about it. This is kind of Blizzard's general approach, specifically towards classic SOD. So one thing, however, occurs right now is in PvP, melees underperform very heavily because of how much ripple damage there is in the game from casters. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that you have Shadow Priests that have AoE, you have Boomkins that simply press a button and they start killing 17 people in front of them. You have Shamans doing AoE with Flame Shock. Essentially, casters are more successful than melee. Typically, when casters are super successful, in game design and PvP balance, essentially what happens is the body of the player base issues a response like a hive mind. And essentially, this is something very known across specifically MOBA genre. Whenever you have long-range poke, burst, or essentially long-range meta, the hard engage melee meta becomes a thing that counters it. To everything, there is a response and it just goes up and down, goes up and down. This is game design. People know of it, at least the people who've read some literature, unlike Blizzard. Now, here's something that happens right now, and let's just go through it all together here so we can look into this and say what is wrong. I'm going to just emphasize upon this little piece over here. It says, Might of Menethil now has a chance on hit to knock down all nearby enemies for 4 seconds. Let's read it again. Might of Menethil now has a chance on hit to knock down all nearby enemies for 4 seconds. Or in other words, what Blizzard just did with this, and let's just open very quick Atlas loot, get some extramas just so you see the new Might of Menethil. This is the new Might of Menethil. Here it is. What Blizzard just did is, okay, we understand that ranged classes are a lot more successful than melee classes. We understand that in Battleground specifically, they are a lot more prominent, and we want melee players to have a chance to control the battlefield in return. So instead of them actually doing something class specific, just go through these classes and give them the tools that they need to survive such damage, to be able to go through and be a lot more prominent into the dive aspect of things, so that ranged players actually have to fight for their damage rather than it be just a gift. Think of it like this: warrior charges, reduce the cooldown. Divine Steed of Paladin, reduce the cooldown. Go for, rogues being a little bit more successful in CC one way or another, right? Just give the melees an opportunity to respond to the dramatic damage of the casters, which is not necessarily to be defensive. Defensive playstyles do not create exciting environments simply because defensives does not promote necessarily plays, and plays are what people are excited about. So this is something that basically they did. They're like, okay, let's just balance the entirety of shamans, warriors, and paladins with the best damage dealing weapon in the entire game, which was already too OP. And now it's also going to do a knockdown on all nearby enemies for 4 seconds. Now here's the thing. Many people are going to be like, well, probably proc's very rare. I'm going to put a clip right now where I caught a warrior from the Horde side literally stun 4 people first time, 3 people second time in an interval of nearly 10 seconds. Or in other words, for 10 seconds, he delivered a total of 8 second crown control. And here's the thing, this is not the warrior player sucking. I'm not going at the warrior player. Cool, he used this to his advantage. It's perfectly fine. No issues there. But the issue is that why are Blizzard doing those things? Like, why are you so negligent over this? And some people might be like, well, wasn't there a molten core weapon specifically dropping from Magmadar that did something like this? Yeah, it did. But here's the thing, it has significantly less impact compared to that. Now, paladins in particular kind of at least have a baby version of this built into them, which is kind of a little bit more successful. What we can do is we can do Seal of Justice, which sacrifices our damage. This is the trade-off for CC, and what we can do is just basically use Divine Storm, and that would have a very good chance to stun targets around them. But it's not a guaranteed thing. See, Might of Menethil has roughly upwards to 20% chance to proc based on the hits that you do. If a warrior charges, then first instant of damage auto attack, hamstring, followed up by a rend or whatever they would like to use, maybe a mortal strike, I don't know. The likelihood of a proc there is upwards of 20% chance. So what you're talking about is that if a warrior charges in, sweeping strikes, and just does a whirlwind, you're gonna stun everybody in a 10-yard radius. It's like, Blizz, what are we doing with this thing? Like, why are you doing this? Are you this freaking lazy that you don't want to spend a little bit of your time on class balance for PvP and just give the players the tools within the kits rather than balance classes around weapons? This has been a thing for the past 10 years of World of Warcraft, and it's been a hot topic, how people detest borrowed power because borrowed power locks your class into one particular thing. So now no warrior can play without Might of Menethil because it's absolutely essential. Meanwhile, every single warrior wants to play with rank 14 swords because it's the better thing to do. It's literally the better design. It simply opens to everything. The 5% damage reduction and the stamina just has no worth anymore. Paladins in particular would love to play with Grand Marshal Claymore. Guess what? If you're a paladin and you do not wish to sacrifice Seal of Justice, rather your seal's damage, and just be the stun bot every 10 seconds that you can be, you know, that's the trade for damage. We have this built into our kit, but now you can ignore this by going into Naxxramas and getting the freaking weapon. Or in other words, in about, I would say, 2 weeks, this is gonna get nerfed. Probably this will become significantly reduced chance to proc, and the knockdown will be single target, probably upwards to 2, maybe 3 seconds. Or in other words, what they'll do is they'll find a way to change the Dark Moon card Torment to not be the thing that you go for PvP, because basically 90% of the PvPers that have some respect for themselves are gonna go and play with Blue Caked Insignia and Dark Moon card Torment. Or the Paladins in Pacific, because we're just so freaking crazy about procs, we would go for Hand of Justice instead. This is one of those things that really piss me off, man, and because I want SOD to have quality PvP. It's not much to ask for. I want to have as often possible Blood Moon events that have quality and good rewards being monitored. I want Arathi Basin to not be the only battleground popping because it's simply the best battleground to be there for the purpose of ranking. I want our Alterac Valley to be there, Warsong Gulch to be there. I dream for some PvP patch where Ajara Crater would be a thing, but it's just like Blizzard don't give a crap about the PvP community. And this is just shameful. This here in particular is just freaking shameful. So yeah, I'm done with my rant. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. I'll see you soon.